How's it? I'm Christo, and welcome to the Diamond Cornerstone. Today we got to return to I've been trying to figure out a name for this video, and I think we can call it the start of our silent revolution. Now, I always go back. It's how we're thinking, and our thinking is linear, random, separate competition, conflict, and it's been a catch for we've been caught up in this hierarchical system with a wool pulled over our eyes, and because we're moving as individuals but part of a collective, and the collective actually just, I believe, wants to dance, and it's the guys at the top of the pyramid who've pulled the wool over our eyes, and we're trapped in time, aka the linear process, because everything we see is actually, from my personal perspective, is linear. I woke up this morning, I had breakfast, then I took the kids to school, and then everything moves chronologically, as opposed to Newtonian. Newtonian physics is A plus B goes to C or equals C, whereas our world has changed, and therefore our worldview must change to something that's more quantum. String theory comes to mind, where everything is interlaced, and actually electrons, and they've actually separated electrons from atoms and seen responses and blah, blah, blah. And in the physics, we're in quantum now, so our minds must start thinking in quantum, which is integrated, systematic, cooperation, mutual service. And in the hierarchy, they've actually distracted us, and everything runs from economics. A business must make money. So therefore the business, Rothschild said it, he who holds the economy doesn't give a damn who makes the law. Something in that line. Because the economics fund the politicians, and the politicians basically just keep us in a false hope and distracted through the social quadrant, aka we're running a kakistocracy. Economics rules politics, and politics keeps us distracted from one public holiday to the next, one celebration to the next, one t-shirt to the next, so our vote is cheap. Our vote is being bought with social grants and basic services and the next beer and the next. So we've got to change the rat race and actually see the interaction, and I'm actually of the belief that every day can be Sunday, a day of community, a day of communion, a day of dance, a day of celebration, because that is the human experience. That's why we're here. We're here to see the sunrises, and we're the only species that lives in scarcity but actually appreciates and enjoys the beauties of the flower, of the scent, of the little things. So we can actually get our discipline to such a level, and our character ethic, to actually move and get this whole diamond swinging the right way. It's just, and that's the silent revolution, is we've got to transform how we think back into a process. And when we can master that, and then we can master different cultures coming together and actually so bring it together, that cultures actually and every culture has weaknesses and every culture has flaws, but every culture has strengths as well, and every person has weaknesses. So the diamond is a fractal model for the individual, but also for community at large. And we've got a 4,000-year history of hierarchy. And it's all about getting everybody to pay tax to keep the king in power, the pharaoh in power, the emperor in power, king, pharaoh, emperor. Nowadays it's to keep the president in power. But it's all run through the economics, because the economics fund the politicians. The politicians distract us with fear. They distract us with celebration. distract us with sport, distract us with alcohol, distract us. And then whatever decision the economists made, society pays the price because the diamond is running in the wrong direction. And if we can transform our minds, we can actually get our individuals right, our families right. And we always start with individual and family. Because the social experiment of South Africa, firstly, I think it was intentional. If you look at when the mines started, the big guys left the tribes, the chief, the warriors. Because on the mine, they could make a buck. But it undermined the whole tribal structure. It was an undermining of the tribal structure. And then they went intentionally and took the shepherds, the lowest guys in the tribal structure, and gave them administrative positions and salaries. Now we're going back 100 and, I don't know, mining started in South Africa late 1800s. So if the chief and the structure is collapsed, because the chief isn't there, he's working on a mine. And you've got administrators who are the lowest level in the tribal structure, suddenly having money. And money is energy, therefore, in the scenario, that money actually gives him a certain amount of social level. He's upgraded. And now we've undermined with the undermining of the social structure and putting shepherds with affluence, but they're being controlled by the economics, by the government. And so we actually created consumerism within the African culture. And to go back to this, I don't believe we can go back to a tribal structure, but I do believe we can go back to the nucleus family, where we can actually get a moral code again from fathers. We've got migrant labor still, where fathers have to leave home on Monday mornings and then they come back on Friday nights, and the nucleus family is being run by, we've also had an AIDS epidemic, so we've got child-run households, mother-based households. Moms can't put down authority quite like a father. We need to return to the nucleus family and get the moral code right. And that comes down through the author of the household, the authority of the household. And dads have to take authority again. And what we're talking about here is a major social issue, but it will right the swing of the diamond, get us out of hierarchy, get us back to heterarchy, where all of us are maybe not equal, because equality, the only place of equality is if everybody's in poverty. But everybody gets a place in the sun, a place of peace. Not everybody wants to be rich and famous, because there's a certain amount of other pressures if you're rich and famous. You've got to put in serious hours on soccer fields, music studios, because there's the 10,000 hour rule by Malcolm Gladwell. To be a master, you need 10,000 hours. And with that mastering comes a certain amount of fame. But that's a different conversation. So let's return to the nucleus family. Let's get our diamonds swinging right. Let's get the mud out of our eyes and transform how we think. Community, cyclical, integrated, systematic, cooperation, mutual service. And the tide lifts all ships. So currently the tide has lifted the ship for economics and the businesses and the large businesses and the monopolies. But it can lift all our ships, that we can all get service delivery. We can all get water. We We can all get housing. We can all get peace, love, joy. We can all have a place. And if there's resources, then there's more patience, kindness, goodness, gentleness, self-control. And that's what we must work on, in essence. So renew your mind, see it differently, and we can build state. Welcome to the Silent Revolution.